Hello, thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Jun Lee, and together with Lisa Murphy-Lamb, we represent the Prairie Grindstone Prize, a $50,000 literary award that acknowledges a hardworking, engaged prairie writer. This annual prize, funded by an anonymous donor committee, alternates between the provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. This is the fourth year of the prize and the second time it has returned to Saskatchewan. Last year, Calgary-based author Rona Altros took home the $50,000 award.
We would like to thank everyone that sent in their nomination letters and the jury members Elena Bentley, Netta Johnson, and Caitlin Turfloth. This is not a book prize. It is awarded in acknowledgement of an author's body of work and their contribution to the public's appreciation for and understanding of Western Canada's landscape, people, history, and culture. The writer must have been a resident of the province of Saskatchewan for the past 5 years, have a minimum of 4 professionally published books, and be an active member of the local writing community. Without further ado, we are honored and thrilled to present this year's Prairie Grindstone Prize to Marina Endicott.
Congratulations, Marina. I'll introduce you briefly here. Marina Endicott was born in Golden, BC, and grew up all over Canada. She came to Saskatoon in 1984 to work in theatre, but began writing fiction. Her first story was published in Grain magazine. Since then, she's written 6 novels and many stories, essays, memoirs, and poems. Her work has been published in Canada, England, the US, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, and New Zealand. Her books have been shortlisted for the Giller Prize, the Governor-General's Award, and CBC's Canada Reads. Good to a Fault won the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best Book, Canada Caribbean. Her latest, The Observer, won the City of Saskatoon Fiction Prize and was Saskatchewan's Book of the Year. She mentors writers at the University of Saskatchewan's MFA program and Humber, and teaches at the University of Alberta's Augustana faculty. She sits on the board of the Saskatchewan Writers Guild. She's been lucky enough to research her novels in New Zealand, Tonga, Bali, Hong Kong, Nova Scotia, and the Bahamas, and lately the interior of British Columbia, but is always happy to come home to Saskatoon.
In a nomination letter from Carolyn Adderson, she said it was her great pleasure to nominate you, Marina Endicott, for your outstanding body of work and your generous engagement with the writing community. As author of 6 critically acclaimed novels and short stories, plays, film scripts, and essays, she ranks you among Canada's most beloved writers, admired by readers and the literary community alike, and one with deep connection to Saskatchewan. So, Marina, what are your initial thoughts?
Most of the time you're bracing yourself, if you're shortlisted for something, you're bracing yourself not to win it. And so winning something, I find myself a bit speechless. I mean, I guess writers aren't allowed to say that we're speechless. um, or to say, words cannot express my appreciation, but I am mutely honored to receive the Prairie Grindstone Prize, acutely aware of so many other artists equally deserving of recognition who continue to labor in these interesting times. When AI and LLMs are purporting to do the work for us, I think the Grindstone Prize acknowledges that the work is the prize, that there is no substitute for human work in art. And I'd like to express my deep thanks to the prize's anonymous founder and the administrators and the award jury, and of course my nominating people for the support that this gives to artists in mid-career. It's really gratifying and energizing to feel that your long work is seen, and I'm inspired now to get back to work.
Thank you, Marina. So, could you tell us and our audience a little bit about your work?
Yeah, in 2020, right on the day of the lockdown for COVID, after a short 27-year detour into Alberta, I returned to Saskatoon to live, my favorite place. Most of my books have been at least partly set here. My real writing life began here. This place has been my home for about 40 years, wherever else I've lived. The landscape and the people and even the weather are sustaining to me. I think it's really true that art derives from place. I know my work does. I loved Nova Scotia, where I finished growing up. I've been happy roaming around the world a little bit, but this is the place for me, where I began really writing seriously, where I moved from the medium of theatre into writing, found my home, found a community of writers that still support and sustain me. I've written plays and short stories and poems and essays and memoir, but I'm mostly a novelist. I really like the architecture of a novel, the long view, the longer time of it. I don't think there's anything better than to have a novel far enough underway that you can really walk around in it and dream about it and come to know the people and what they have to do. I wrote short stories and novellas for many years while working in theatre, but also while having young children, and 3 of those were published as Open Arms, my first book. My first novel, Good to a Fault, was published by a small brand new press, Freehand Books in Calgary, Alberta. Its first year. It was shortlisted for the Giller in 2008, which was a great boost for the publisher and of course for me as well. Since then, I've written 4 more novels, and in between that, any number of short pieces and the narration track for an NFB film. I really like working in different forms and testing out those variations, but I always come back to the novel. So far, I've been alternating between present day and historical novels, and I suppose I'll probably continue that because I love the process of researching, whether it's in the past or present, and I find it really sort of galvanizing to travel to the places that I'm writing about, and that's really been a huge part of my work.
Thank you. That being said, what are you working on now, or is there anything you have slated for the future?
I'm researching and writing a novel right now called 4 Sisters, I think. Probably will change. That looks at the changing lives of women in the 20th century Canada at 4 turning points: the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, Expo 67, the repatriation of the Canadian Constitution in the 80s, and Y2K. I know those don't really seem like they would be all in the same book about women, but I think my work is inflected, as all of our work has to be, by our own history in various ways. And I'm always looking back at the women that I came from, sisters of mine, my mother's sisters, my mother-in-law's sisters, all of the sisters that made the progress of women possible in the 20th century and that we don't want to lose.
What are your plans for the year now that you've received the prize?
To stop busyness, to sit still and think and write. Without this incredible gift, it would be impossible to avoid the constant noise of financial strain or write without guilt that I should be working on something lucrative to write. It almost feels like a private prize, you know, like a quiet nod to say, go back and work, yes.
Now we'd like to ask you to read a short excerpt that you've chosen for us.
So I'm going to read something from this 4 Sisters that I'm only working on. I can't tell you how raw and unfinished this is, but it's pretty much the opening of the book, so I'll just give you a teaser. It's set in Fernie in 1962, and this is October 1962 is coming in a little while. Startled out of contemplation by a slam outside, Clement glanced out the study window, then back to his sheet of foolscap, sermon unwritten on the Paraclete, the Holy Spirit. But outside, past the peeling, crinkled wire of the fence he ought to have painted this summer, a long figure stretched up to haul at the rope, hitching a long heap to the roof of a long, radiant yellow station wagon. His brother-in-law Dell with a new car. Should he have remembered some event? He must find Rose. She was there, right outside the study door, kneeling on the hall floor to damp dust the baseboard, her lovely oval rump towards him as she sent the cloth swinging along. The posterior view of women, not only Rose's, but chiefly roses, so revealed, so darling. Oh, he had been about to tell her something. Bang again, bang, and footsteps rushing the porch. Dell. The door flung wide with a crash, and there he was, crying out in a clamor, "Clem, Clem!" Unwarned, Rose scrambled up and straightened, an umbrella furling, collapsing and compressing her flowery, spreading nature, snapping back tight to the public gaze. She clapped the dusty cloth behind her back, crying, "Dell, what? What is it? What's wrong?" Ignoring that, he caught at Clement's outstretched hand and tumbled into awkward gasps that jarred the ear. "God, Clem, I can't." Tears in his eyes. Dell. Rose slid past them to the door, waiting for her sister to follow and explain. She swung the door wider, leaning out, but nobody appeared. And all the time Dell kept tight hold of Clement's hand, tongue not yet sorting into scents or sentences. Looking again at the station wagon shining at the curb, at the bulge of baggage on the roof, Clement felt his heart move lower in his body. He drew Dell into the dim study, saying mild, propitiating things, and shut the door behind them. Still holding the front door wide, Rose stared out at Dell's station wagon, her whole chest stretched and cramped. Dell, alone, coming out of the clear blue air like a bomb. And in a state Iris didn't usually let him out of her sight. She turned back, but the study door was shut. Sighing for Clement's priestly rectitude, Rose slipped back down the hall and knelt to wipe the baseboard at the furnace vent that served both dining room and study. Voices perfectly clear from there, Dell sobbing in jagged bursts. Was Iris ill? Or dead? Had she kicked him out? Rose felt a black cavern yawning. Good thing she was already kneeling down. No sound now. Clement would be waiting, half smiling, nervous. How she hated his face sometimes. His mild so encouraging to his flock, strangled her soul and braced her for action, since he would take none. But if she burst in shouting, Dell would clam up. Clement asked, "Is Iris hurt?" "No!" The big chair crashed against the wall. Dell must have jumped up or maybe kicked it. "Why would you ask that?" "In case there's been an accident or she was ill." Silence again. This baseboard did need attention. How does everything get so filthy so quickly? She could not stay kneeling there praying. She'd fix some lemonade and take it in. She took the pick to the ice, finding relief in stabbing. Finding the study door still shut, Rose gave a brisk knock and went in. Clement was perched on a window ledge. Clerical black never darkened his glow. But Dell was a tarry puddle, brill-creamed head in his hands, finishing a grinding sentence. He looks at me. She sees her dad. Nobody can be a good guy after that guy. He looked up and saw Rose in the doorway, shook his head. Sorry. His smooth hands rose and fell, manicured nails dirty. She poured him out a glass. Drink this. A little sugar is good for shock. You've had a shock, I guess. He took it with an automatic salesman's smile and a little hoping laugh. Got anything to put in it? You drove straight here from Vernon? I'm not going back, he said, as if that was an answer. His voice rose again. You know, Rose. I hear her going at you, too. Snip, snip, snip. Clement said quietly, That's no good, Dell. Stick to your own trouble. But it was true. Iris was not easy. Changing his tune, Dell appealed to Clement. You just got to put me up a day or two. I had to go or I couldn't answer for it. Rose looked him over, not buying all this. Answer for what? He raised his fancy eyes, still shot with tears. For what's left of my life. Back to the melodrama. Oh, yes, and what's right of your life. Rose, Clement swept her an entreating look, all grief and patience. So the men would stand together then against her and Iris. Were you drunk when you left? Nobody'd know if I was. I'm not now. He didn't seem to be. He wiped his hand across his handsome face. Long fingers, no band on the wedding finger. He must have taken it off like a salesman in a joke. I'll tell you what, he said. I didn't know where I was headed to last night, but now I get it. Sanctuary. Dell, of all people, saying sanctuary, thinking he meant it, stuttering over it. Rose laughed. Her laugh stopped Dell dead like standing on the brakes, and his eyes swiveled back to her, black to their straining edges. I blame you. She laughed again and bit her mouth to stop. You sisters, you stuck-up ideas, got her thinking she's something else. He folded right over, head to knees, groaning, like she had heard men suffer in the critical ward at night. She swept the tray back to the kitchen in one swoop, and then, breasts buzzing, tore up the stairs double quick and slammed the bedroom door behind her so Clement would hear it. But not loud enough to frighten the baby, arms reaching up for her, rosebud mouth pursing. Better not call Iris yet.
Thank you. Marina Endicott, it is a joy to award the Prairie Grindstone Prize to a writer of such dedication to both craft and to the writing community. May this award allow you time and space to focus on your next work or works.
Thank you so much. It certainly will do that. And I'm, even in these few moments really since finding out, I can feel that resurgence of energy, and I'm ready to get back to work. Thank you.